I tell you what, Randall, I love that smile.
Oh, it's always there.
Exactly.
The teeth are fake.
Yeah, well, I had to have mine done as well. I had to have veneers and crowns and all kinds of things because I grew up in a religious cult where because the end of the world was coming before the year 2000, we had to go to the shitty school dentist, and of course they just filled your mouth full of shite and took out as many teeth as they could, and my teeth were an absolute mess. And then I decided one day, about 20 years ago, I think I'll tidy these lot up. If they weren't prepared to do it, seeing as the end of the world didn't come in the year 2000, 21 years later we're still here. I'm quite glad I did get them tidied up.
That's right on, brother. Well, my teeth are in pretty good shape, but these two got knocked out when I was younger, when I used to play, like the games that young men play.
yeah, exactly. I had mine chipped as well at the front for years and years and years from playing games.
Nice. I'm heading for a quiet spot, Charlie. I'll be just another 30 seconds here, and then I'll sit down and relax.
No, you don't want me to talk about my teeth, do you now? I'll fill 30 seconds with my teeth.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, guys.
No problem at all. So you and I have one lady in common.
We do, at least one.
Exactly right. And,
sorry, I was hustling my ass down here. It's a little bit windy outside, so I wanted to go inside, and this is my office, Charlie. This is what we call
cool.
Banker. It's called Bankers Hall here in Calgary, and it's like our twin towers. On the top of one is a golden top, and on the other one is either lead, silver, or antimony. Take your fucking pick. It's a coded little building, and this is where our Swift room is and our network system. I go up there, and I was going to go up, but I thought I'm just going to sit. No use in showing it off, but that's where our Swift room is one level up. High security, 4 or 5 cameras. They're on me all the time, and I want them to be. Let's put it that way.
Sure. And you're also running for mayor in Calgary, I believe.
Yeah, that's a little sideline. We got lots of things going on, and I mean, it's a process, and somebody's got to step up. Let's put it that way, Charlie, because every one of these poor pathetic. That's the way I put it. Okay, I have pity on these pathetic politicians. I just walked by our little prick job station down the street. They've got an immunization center set up on 8th Avenue Mall here, and this morning they announced that they're going to have a lottery. So when you get your shot, you get a lottery ticket and get a chance for one of $1 million prizes. So I walked by there this morning, and I've done this numerous times, and I said, really? Now it's a lottery ticket? And there was a bunch of people standing in line. I said, how insane can humanity become?
Yeah.
You're going to get a lottery ticket to get that experimental job done in your arm? Like, really? Come on, folks. And I walked away, but it stirred me up a little bit. I'm sorry, Charlie, but I'll calm down.
No, we need the fire and passion. And it's funny you're saying that, because I heard a few weeks ago in England that I am, that's this person that's on benefits, and I know this because somebody's the landlady, and they give them a $5 to have that jab. And careful the words because I want to get it on YouTube. But £5, and they took it.
Yeah.
That wasn't even a £1 million lottery goal.
No.
Mind you, that's probably better than the $5 he got. He probably in profit.
I think in America they've been offering donuts as well, because so if the virus didn't kill you and the vaccine didn't kill you, they'll kill you with obesity. I thought that was really nice.
Well, you mentioned something there, Danushia, that I want to jump on. It's that the idea that we're going to put this on YouTube. It's going on YouTube, and I've been letting fly lately, Charlie, because we've taken over. The white hats, if you want to call it that, I don't give a shit what you call it, but we've done this. The social media is ours, and this is going on my YouTube channel, and I mean, I hope like hell we can keep it going that way too. And I haven't ventured into the other, BitChute or Rumble or any of that stuff. I just stuck with my little crowd, and I've got a beautiful little group that we call our Tao Eternally. So I want to just break right into a few things here, Charlie, if you don't mind, because I know you don't have a lot of time either. But TAO, when I first started my company way back, a nonprofit organization, I thought of the abundant one, okay? TAO.
Yeah.
And I put that up, and one of my friends said to me, well, that's the Chinese Bible. I said, well, that's fine. They can use it too if they want. I don't give a shit. You know, like DAO is DAO. And so then we kind of went to the next step with this little group, including Danushia and a number of my good friends. We started an authentic channel called The Authentic Ones. And I always like to use the AU in capital letters when I think of my audience, the autograph, the authentic ones, the authority. It's all AU. You're the gold, folks. And that's what Charlie and I believe, is that the audience is the gold, I believe. And Charlie's shaking his head, so I think he does too.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And this is all about being real, you know, and gold is real. This is why we need gold to back our currencies worldwide, which I've been involved in the movement of for the last 5 or 6 years. This has all been very, very carefully planned. And I was saying in a video earlier today, we're actually 9 months ahead of where we actually believe we are, because this is pantomime right now, playing out to wake up people. Everything has happened behind the scenes already. And this is just trying to drip feed. It was likened the other day to when you're thirsty, somebody gives you a glass of water, you sip it. If somebody took a fireman's hose and put it in your face, this is why we're having to break it down very, very gently to people. We've done as much as we can do. I've done now 15 months of hard work of telling people what's going on. It's now up to the people to make their own choices and their own decisions as to what they want to do. Some people, even when the truth smacks them in the face, won't wake up to it, because in the old days we could trust the media, we could trust the doctors, and we could trust the politicians. None of those are trustworthy at the moment, and we're having to look to people like yourself, who are standing up for their own people, and there'll be thousands and thousands of vacancies for genuinely good people like yourself, Randall. And I can say from the bottom of my heart, I'm very grateful for the work that you're doing in standing up and saying, fine, I'm prepared to look after the people of Calgary. I'm prepared to be accountable to them. And that's what we need to get away from these old politicians that are just dirt bags, that only have their own interests at heart. Most of them are prostitutes. They're bought by somebody. We made a decision very early on, and Danushia knows this. I battled and battled and battled with my wife and with Lee about not monetizing the channel, just purely as the truth. The benefit is we've been able to employ 17 people and give 17 people work. And we've been able to feed and protect 45 homeless people. So the benefits are there. We've had to do. I was there yesterday with the homeless people. It's one thing to feed them. We're now building them a kitchen so they can feed themselves. And it's the old story, you know. If you buy a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. And we're just trying to help them, to teach them how to look after themselves and provide them with the tools to do so. But I'm very proud of you, Randall. Danushia's told me about you, and people like you, I will give all the time in the world to get the message out there, because you're a good man.
Well, you know, it's a team effort, Charlie. You know that as well as I do. And I mentioned our little group, and Danushia and I have known each other for, I don't know, about a year now. She's such a lovely and wise individual. My God, she's doing a book for me like she did for you, but she's adding stuff to it. As I read it, I'm going, holy shit, I didn't know that. Like, she's bringing stuff to the table that is just wonderful. So kudos and thank you again, Danushia, for the introduction to Charlie. It's a good opportunity. I'm not going to be in the media much longer. Like, honestly, like I wanted to just mention a couple other groups, if you don't mind, Charlie, while we're here. So there's a group called Global People's Monetary System, I think it's called, GPMS.world. And he's a fellow Canadian, and then there's another really good friend who's part of our Dow Eternally group, Lee Mudway, who's part of that group as well. And I wanted to mention them just for sake of what you said earlier, that you can put it in people's faces and they just still won't believe it. So here's some options, folks. Option number 1, GPMS. Option number 2, Huna Flash, a friend of ours that you know as well.
Huna. Yeah,
I know Huna well, and we've bumped into each other, not in the physical yet, but many times on videos and shared conversations. Beautiful man. Sasha Stone, of course, I've known for 7 years, and Sasha and I did a little short video the other day, kind of an update for people, and just to show that we have been friends for 7 years, and it's been a long process for both of us. I'll tell a little bit more of that later. What happened to Greg? That's one that I was wondering, like Greg Hallett.
The one thing I learned with Greg Hallett, Jack Kidd came along to me and said we should interview him and find out what his story is, because he was claiming to be King John III. And we decided to give him the platform of that. He got distracted by somebody else, and he got taken down a different route. Whether that route was right for him or not, only he can decide. But as with anybody that's going to be and we know this with the Queen of England, if you're going to, because she originally, her family line is German, and Prince Philip is obviously Greek. So they weren't the bloodline. So the first part of the introduction of Greg was to establish he wasn't the solution, but he was part of it. It was getting people to ask questions as to who is the bloodline. And there's a lot of people who can claim bloodline. There's a lot of people who've got some great stories. But what it did do was it opened up the debate to ask who it was. And I think the critical thing, if you're not the bloodline and you're wanting to be the royal family, is to take the people with you. You have to take the people with you. And I think, sadly, for me anyway, Greg sort of lost it with the people over a period. And I think that's very sad, because I thought that his dedication and commitment to what he'd found out was amazing. I thought it was incredible. We did everything we could to try and get the truth out there and to try and find out, because look, it was never going to change my life whether he was going to be the king, the queen, or Prince Charming. It wouldn't change my life. My journey has been to get the truth out there. It's like I've had people on about flat earth. If the earth is flat or round, it makes no difference to Charlie. Absolutely no difference at all. The only difference would be is it makes NASA a team of liars. That's all, in real terms, because they've told us the world is round, and they've told us they've been to certain places like the moon, and we're just trying to establish whether they were being honest with us or whether that was a really vivid dream.
Beautiful, Charlie.
Are you all right?
Yes.
My quick quip on Greg.
Go on.
I think the fact that somebody stood up, like you said, whether they are or they are not is insignificant. Mm-hmm. The fact that they stood up and they opened up a doorway for people to look into, and with that, he got slated. Yeah. Like, the reality is, so you get it as well, Charlie. You get slated. God, do we believe in him? Do we trust him? 1 minute people are your friend, people are not. And when you get in this situation of being in media, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And maybe, some people are more resilient than others, depending on the support around them, their lifestyle, so many things, the inner warrioress, whatever. So I think wherever he's gone, it really doesn't matter. And whether he arrives back or not. Yeah. And all that I could see was whether you want a leader or not, because I know some people are for, some people against, but we've got an evolvement to go through yet. It's a period. We've all got to adjust. And he was looking out for the people. He was giving you offerings. He was talking about the common law. So that was beautiful. He was opening space. And that's just how I saw it, as simple as.
I think you're bang on the money there. And I think this is what we need to do. The one thing that has become very, very clear to me over the last few weeks is we need to trust more in God than man. And God is in here, not up there. So first of all, we need to reset our moral compasses so that we understand what's right and wrong. And then we get our information from a number of sources, and we're the ones that need to make the choice. We need to take back our sovereignty, take back who we are, make our own judgments, stand by our judgments, rather than being told by somebody on the television or somebody that's leading us astray. We need to trust ourselves. This is a spiritual journey where we need to reconnect with ourselves. And when you do that, I try my best to get the information from 3 different sources, and then I make up my own mind based on the information I've got as to what I perceive is an accurate description of what I've been told. I don't have to go and find a specialist to find out. I take it from 3 different areas, so normally a pro area, a negative area, and a neutral area, to try and get clarity. I liken it to looking at the sea. If I look at the sea from my house, it looks beautiful. But if a diver looks at the sea from beneath, it looks completely different. And his perception and my perception are both right. And it's learning to accept other people's perceptions that is different to my own. And then we can make a clear judgment of knowing that your view is from the bottom of the sea and mine's from the top of the sea, but they're both right. So we know exactly what water is all about.
And they might not always be 100%. They might just be in that moment.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes we can still, people say you've been led astray or you've got it wrong, or why? It's because, well, you're in the moment. So you made the right decision in that moment, and that's it. As simple as.
Betcha. 0 point time. We're in the moment. We're in the now. Yeah. I was thinking of a quick story, Charlie, when I'm going to go into a few of the connections that I have so that you get to know who I am and your audience does as well. And not, like I say, it's more just to get this story out there for people to make their choices and to make their own universe work, right?
Yeah.
Is what it's about, like you said, because we're in the center. God is in the center of us, and then we're in the center of our own universe.
Yeah.
I communicate with Kim Gagon quite regularly.
Yes.
And Anna Von Reitz and Ernest Rothschild, R-A-U-T-H, Rothschild. He's a black man in the Philippines. Yep. And we have a little thread going. We've had it going for a year or more, like an email thread. And when I was working close with Kim, she showed me a map, and she put it up on her site then afterwards, but she did the little video for me. And I said, Kim, that center is God. That's not one person. Or one human, whatever you want to call it. That is God in the center. And she just denied it at first. And you know, it's been a challenge with Kim. She's a lovely human being, and she's got a heart of gold. Don't get me wrong. It's you know, the Russian families that I am close to as well, they respect her, and so do many of the other dragon families that I deal with, and just the off ledger and blocked fund account holders that I deal with. Everybody has respect for her, but just that one thing of saying I'm the only one, it's not going to cut it. I mean, M1, Mr. Sino, he's in jail. You know, like, I don't know if he's out yet. My buddy Ravi Raj, he thought he was the one. He's in jail. Like, when you get that ego built up too much, you know, there is a quantum coding team, QCT, okay? And that's important letters for people to maybe remember. I'm not a big fan of the word quantum financial system because of the word finance. I think in terms of funding, loan is a gift of God. It's not a fucking, you know, finance situation, you know? Mm-hmm. So, excuse my language. I don't mean to. I drop them once in a while, I guess. But,
yeah.
But, you know,
it's that rancher coming out, love.
Yeah.
You know, it's very interesting you said that about the quantum financial system, because it's what I've been working on for about 6 or 7 years, 6 years now. And I was talking with Lena, and Lena said she changed it to quantum consciousness, which makes a lot more sense to me.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, Charlie. And that is what it's about. It's about there, you know, God consciousness is always here, and it always has been.
Yeah.
You know, and each of us has the cabal inside of us. We can make a shitty choice or we can make a good choice. O, capital O-D, you know, like we can make a godly choice every day. And if we keep making those choices the way we are, this thing is going to happen faster and faster because we are already past that point. So now it's just these silly, ignorant, pathetic politicians that have to make a couple good choices and boom, we're off to the races, you know? And I'm not saying that that's not, it's already happened, like you say, Charlie, at the upper end. Joe Biden is obviously an actor, like for the good guys, because he's making it himself sound so fucking ridiculous that anybody that would ever think that that is the leader of the free world needs to really give their head a shake. So it is just an act, and it's a play playing out.
Well, I showed the video earlier because I don't know if you've actually seen it. But there's the video that the outtake of Joe Biden, which is in itself is. Hang on a second. Right. So if I'm going to share the screen here, just so you can see this, so that everyone can see this. It's the second time I've done today. This is valuable.
We have to act graciously in victory, though. We need to go forward together. Unfortunately, there are situations in life, and this is one of them, where there must be a winner and
Jim Carrey does a really good job.
We're laughing, but it's not laughable, but it is at the same time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Charlie.
That's.
Oh God.
I'm very fortunate because people do send me the outtakes from Castle Rock Studios, and from one in Atlanta as well. And of course, what's his name? Is it James Rose? No, James Woods. James Woods. He plays him in Atlanta, and Jim Carrey plays him in Castle Rock in Hollywood. But Jim Carrey can't behave himself at the best of times. So when he's doing this skit of Biden there, when he does his press conferences for him, afterwards he has a little bit of fun with them.
That L at the end was really cute.
Exactly. But this is just a little wake up, little poke in the side to say the information's out there. It's like what happened at the weekend where Biden was supposed to be in Cornwall on Air Force One. Well, anybody who does any research, you can go onto the military flight radar and you can find that Air Force One never left Florida. And the plane that was actually painted up to go to Cornwall had the wrong plane number on it. And any plane spotter will pick that up immediately. It's like having a number plate on a car. Every plane has a number. Air Force One has a number. The plane that arrived in Cornwall was not Air Force One. Yeah, exactly. So the one very important thing, Randall, that I try and point out to people is that Joe Biden is the president of the United States of America Corporation.
Yes.
Which went bankrupt in 2018 and was finalized in February, March of 2021. But Donald Trump, having spoken to a shaman and a constitutional lawyer, because I'd learned that the head of the US military had recognized Donald Trump as the commander-in-chief and commander-in-chief of in the States. And I wanted to understand what that meant. And I was told by the shaman and by the lawyer that makes him the constitutional president. So the military recognize him as the constitutional president. But we've just got to wait for the mainstream media to see when they catch up.
Exactly. That's all it's about, is catching up now, because the history is already written and rewritten. Right. And I mean, we're the ones that are writing it now. It's not them anymore, you know, like sure. That's silliness.
But you have an understanding of gold as well, don't you?
Yeah. You know, if you don't mind, I'll just rip right into a little quick introduction. Like, why is Randall Kaiser on Charlie Ward's channel? You know, like, and like I say, I'm not going to be on social media along, I'll pop in and visit with people and stuff, and we'll continue our little thing with the authentic ones eternally. But I was introduced into this whole story many years ago with a Filipino man who lives in Vancouver, Canada, and what they call the Cruzan Philippine Fund. Okay.
Okay.
So Cruzan Philippine not only includes gold-backed certificates, but victory notes as well.
Okay.
Victory notes being the currency that was MacArthur brought into the Philippines, and then they changed it to the peso. But some of those boxes of those were saved and whatever. I don't know really too much about that story, but the gold-backed certificates are a very important story for people to know about, and that is that Marcos, for one, but others as well, brought in safekeeping receipts, which means there's an assay of a physical gold asset somewhere, hidden away, usually, not ever brought to the bank, but they'll bring in the safekeeping receipt and start a credit line with it, right? Or start, you know, a off-ledger account generally. And then the off-ledger accounts, which, as you know, are in these private trading platforms, trickle money out through the humanitarian projects, in quotation marks, to projects. But what happened in the last 30, 40 years, and I don't know if you agree with me, is that these humanitarian projects became New World Order globalist projects. And if you had that design, here you go, here's your money. You know, if you don't follow that rule, then get lost. So I had that meeting, and I traveled over to the Philippines to meet Roddy Duterte. I met with his cabinet minister of secretary, whatever. I don't know, fucking do very good with titles, but anyway, his transportation and infrastructure minister. And I was ready to meet with Duterte over this. And that's when God stepped in, okay, to my life. And this has happened many times, don't get me wrong. But miracles only happen to you, and you can't really tell them to anybody else because they don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But I'm sitting in Manila, ready for my meeting with Duterte. Had it organized with his administrative staff, everything. I got photographs, whatever, for people want to think that I'm bullshitting. And here we are, ready for this meeting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because Roddy doesn't get up early. He sleeps late. He does his work at night, has a drink, and then goes to sleep late. He's not up early. So we're going to meet at 3 o'clock. In between, my so-called corporate Canada leader gives him the gears on these helicopters that he's going to sell Duterte and says, well, we're not selling them to you if you're going to put weapons on them. Duterte goes like this to any Canadian, including the guy who's waiting for a fucking meeting with him. If that wasn't divine timing, what is, you know? Yeah. That little scrambly little prick, Justin, is just a waste of space. But he's just a pitiful, pathetic human being as far as I'm concerned. I have nothing to say about him being connected to anything. He just goes around and acts. He just goes around, does what he's told, and does these photo ops, and he's just pathetic. I put in my application for the Central Bank Governor of Canada, and it went to his office. And I know it reached him because I've spoken to his secretary, Nicole Paradis, and another lady in his office. And I know they received it. I know the lawyer received it because I had to contact him a second time, and he phoned me back and said, I'm so sorry, Mr. Kaiser. I didn't realize. I said, listen, you read that thing. That's all I want you to do. And I want other people to read it because I know what's going on. And I want people to know I know what's going on. And I don't want to, not naive enough to think that I'm going to be the governor of some corporate entity, Central Bank of Canada, but I want people to know that I know what the fuck is going on in it, and I know how this system works from beginning to end. So part of my instruction in that, Charlie, excuse my passion this morning, but
I know, I was going to say, we're going to have to get bleep in you. Bleep, 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 bleep.
Okay, we'll do a little bit more. So are you familiar with Centennial Energy Thailand,
yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Okay. So Ravi Raj Rithochanan and I are good friends as well. Okay. And when I was in that same situation there in the Philippines waiting for my meeting, Ravi got thrown in jail in Angola, and he's still in there.
Wow.
And it's a sad story, but he got a little bit carried away. His ego got ahead of him, and he admits it, because we text back and forth. If we can come up with $1 million for the Angola government, we can pop him out of there. And I haven't been able to do that yet. But he's just thrown under the bus by the bankers and the politicians.
Mm-hmm.
And his associates have been freed. They were freed in March. But Ravi's still sitting in there. It's an SEC prison, so he's not suffering that bad. But it's sad that guys like him with a good heart and a good mind are in there. He's a monk, for Christ's sake, or a monk for Buddha's sake, maybe. But he's like, you know, he's just a beautiful man. But you know, he tried to bring funding into Angola, and it didn't work.
No.
But just about that same time, I'll just kind of rattle on for another minute or two here, Charlie, because I just want to get it out. I wrote it down for you, and I wanted to share. So my main training at the same time in the banking realms of SWIFT messages, MT103 credit enhancement, SB 760s, you know, standalone credit, the standalone credit instrument is the simple message, bank to bank MT103. Mm-hmm. And that one is as simple as it is. It's autographs and agreements, AUAG. We figured all this stuff out a long time ago. And it's in the primary banking realm, PB, where lead gets turned into gold with your autograph and agreement, right? However, then secondary banking comes along, and this is one that me and my buddy Benjamin Mensah, he's a brilliant man down in Africa. He's part of our team, banker like you and I. He's been involved in the standby letters of credit and all that kind of trading and discounting and everything else for years. Never really made anything either, and I haven't made a fucking cent. They kicked me out on a commission they owed 1.5 million, and I'm actually glad they did, because it enhanced my education is all it did, and they know that now. But anyway, it's not they, it's just individuals that made shitty choices. Once again, I'll reiterate that. But in that process, Benjamin and I figured out SB in this little element thing that we were playing with AG and AU. SB in the periodic tables, Charlie, is a word and a metal called antimony. How much more pressing could they put it in your face, rather than to say debt at the secondary level, secondary banking, SB is anti-money.
Wow.
So debt is a complete, utter fabricated illusion.
Yeah.
Credit is real. Credit can be real, and it can be based on gold or authority and autographs of human beings. And I'm not going to challenge that and say that we need to get rid of one or the other. It's okay. That's just me though. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm that guy who's not going to point the fingers for too long at anybody, including my mentor and my teacher in this, Bauer Rothschild. Okay. His title is Baron von Brotich or some fucking thing. And he's also Sri Kadaf G in the spiritual world and Lord Grantham Taylor Hughes on the internet. If people want to look him up, you can find him. He's not hiding anything. And this man is brilliant. He's got an IQ well into the 200s. He's kind of a genetic fluke, I think, in the family. And he's told me so many things, and I try to share them on my YouTube channel with people. Some things sink in for folks, some other things don't, but it doesn't matter. I'm telling the story. He doesn't mind. He said to me when they threw me under the bus and owed me $1 million, he said, "You didn't shut up. The bankers are hazing you. I shouldn't be even telling you this." I said, "Well, then tell them to fuck off." I said, "I'll do it another way." And he was pissed off at me after almost a year of daily phone calls at times, 2-hour recitations from this highly intelligent man that I sat and listened to and absorbed because I had an uneducated or unindoctrinated mind. I just absorbed it and learned the business real fast.
Sure.
It was beautiful. And I love the man. I still do. I send him emails, but he won't reply. But he offered me a $50 million a year position on his board of directors for a process and a project that he had in mind for relostatic technology. Beautiful technology, way beyond anything magnetic. The man is brilliant. He's a genius. And he couldn't get funding from his own family.
Mhm.
So he glommed onto me when he knew that I had these connections to these gold-backed accounts and collateral accounts, whatever you want to call it. Some people use global, but I don't like that word because I'm a flathead.
Yeah.
And, you know, but I'm not saying it's neither. I'm just saying I'm a flathead. That's what I believe. Okay.
Mhm.
So they, the idea that he glommed onto me and he treated me with such kindness when I first did this, and he warned me when I was in the Philippines. He says, if Ravi's in jail, you keep your fucking head down. Bilderberg country is right in your ballpark there, buddy. You're
Yep.
gonna get fucking thrown in the kink
Yep.
clink too. So I hung out in the Pope Pius Center in Manila for a couple
Yep.
weeks and ate fucking sardines, and finally got him to make me a mango and banana shake and a little bit of cream in it. So I was a little happier, but
Mhm.
it was a little tough time. But I weaseled my way back home, ran out of money, and I've been just telling stories ever since. And I love my job. I love, you know, I've got respect here now in the banks. They kicked me out of Royal Bank because I exposed something, and they said, oh, that's fraudulent. I said, good, I'll be right there. We're going to take these guys to the cleaners. I said, if it's fraud and you're telling me the truth. Next thing I know, I got a letter from Royal Bank head office. You can't come back to our bank again ever. I'm like, good, whatever. Royal Bank seems to be the worst one in Canada in my mind, but I'm just saying. And then, so I made my way into Bank of Montreal with bonds, with Euro bonds. I didn't ever have my hands on an MTN, but I exposed a Euro bond, and I said, okay, all I want is a non-recourse loan for a project for myself. You can use the rest of the bond yourself. I know this thing's been used by Obama. I know it's been used in Vancouver to build a few towers. Maybe even Trump used it for Trump towers. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Okay, but Trump's in on that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a dishing Trump. He's coming clean, but he knows this credit system. He knows how it works, and he's not a genius real estate guy. Okay. He got into the credit system, which just gives him the ability to pay an administration fee and build another tower. So Trumpy Trump, we can sit down anytime on a chair or on a stool or up by a tree and have a discussion about this. I love you, brother. And I'm talking Donald. And we'll, you know, we don't have to expose it if you don't want, but it's already exposed because Kaiser's telling the story, brother. You know, like seriously, we got to get this thing on track, and everybody has to tell the truth.
Well, one thing that's very, very clear with Trump is he had to rub shoulders with them to find out exactly what they were doing. He had, and that's the only way you find out the truth. And Project Veritas is another perfect example of that, of infiltrating Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and all of them. And Donald Trump, because of the way that he was, and he was respected and loved back 10 years ago, he managed to infiltrate into places that you and I were lucky enough to be able to get in there as well, but there's not many people who get in there. We know what's going on. We saw what was going on. And of course, the minute you start talking about it, they get very, very nervous. They don't like it because they know what they all know without fail. They all know what they're doing is wrong. They know that. They've been doing it for so long and getting away with it for so long. They're almost laughing at the public that they can get away with it, a lot of these people. And when you learn about the stock exchange, that 95% of the money never leaves it. And you see that the paymasters have total control. It's just their little game, really. They'll give little drippets out to people just to keep them happy. But I know I have a little saying that if you've got enough money to buy me a burger, then that's okay. But a lot of these people have huge numbers on the screen, but they can't even afford a burger.
Exactly, brother. Exactly. And I mean, here's one right here, you know, like, and like you say, I'm not pointing the finger at Trump any more than I'm going like this, which is pointing 3 back at me. I infiltrated that system too, and I was on the verge of $1.5 million. Had I gotten that, my whole life would have changed. Had we succeeded with that board of directors position, holy shit, like where would I be then? You know, like flying back and forth to Abu Dhabi, where his project is set up and already in motion. He's got a building set up there for this and I'm talking Lord Grantham Taylor Hughes once again, okay?
Mm.
But the laughter part is cool, Charlie, because we know they were laughing at us. Now we're laughing at them.
Yeah.
And it's like, you guys want to laugh? That's fine. Here we are. You know, we're laughing at you on YouTube or BitChute or whatever. You know, we can laugh all we want to.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful thing, brother.
It's
I
certainly.
don't know. That's about all I had on my little list. I mean, if there's anything else you want to.
Well,
you know,
the only thing I had on my list was to thank Danushia for bringing us two together and writing your book and my book.
Yes, thank you so much, Danushia. And I mean,
thank you. It's a pleasure for you too. If, in case anybody's thinking I'm just sat here as a secretary taking notes, I'm not.
Well, for those people who know anything about England, Danushia was born and brought up in Yorkshire.
Lancashire.
Oh yeah, the posh part of Yorkshire, Lancashire. and Lancashire folk like Yorkshire folk, but they're hard-working people. But her family origins are Polish, so the combination of that gives a young lady that is incredibly hardworking and brutally honest.
Yeah, get it as it is.
Exactly right, and I think that's why Randall and I love it. And you seem to understand Randall and I. We probably feel like you're little boys at the moment, but we're
No,
very
you
grateful.
don't. No, you don't. No, you're older than me, so no.
I know. I know.
Well, I love all this because this is so beautiful. The passion of the 3D world. My world is the other area, like the channeling, the seer, the healer. So, but naturally, I've got many tools and skills in the 3D world. But yeah, so I love just for anybody, in case you come back on or not, Randall, just for my quick excerpt about you is that, you know, you were in the ranching business for 30 years, 3 decades, and you learned so much about the industry, the manufacturing, the conventional, non-conventional, opened your eyes beyond belief. And then obviously having property, losing your property, getting into the common law courts, it blew your mind, it expanded. You know, you were there standing on your own without lawyers, getting kicked out by the judge. So, you know, you've been on such a journey. So your passion's not, you know, like just in a couple of years. It's been over decades and decades. And when you learn so much about the industry, about the gold and what, you know, where the people don't have it and where it's tied away. You know, your passion is not just as running for mayor, but the humanitarian projects that I know you've got there to help others as well, and the organisation. So that's my quick excerpt for people, in case you're just thinking, what's this guy? And it's just like, no, it's like Charlie, you know, you've been through decades, and even writing that book, I do. It's not that I stand up for you. To me, is people want to say to me that or criticize you, and it's just like, well, I know this person from my perspective. I spent 5 weeks solid every day with this person for hours and hours and hours and hours, talking, writing the book, connecting. I know what I see, and whatever your expectations are, and the same way, Randy, whatever your expectations are about that person, and that's the world we've been in. People want, give me the answers, fix it, you give me that wrong, that's wrong. And it's just like, whoa, stand back. What was your intention as well with that person? Why were you watching them? What did you want from them? Why do you feel let down by them? Why do you suddenly not trust them? Who's saying this? What's it? Come back to yourself. And I'm part of the creating the conscious group with Simon. And it's, you know, just to hear the stories, and I whatever my energy is there, it's always to bring it back.
Sure.
No matter what is going on in the world, whether you believe Trump's going to arrive or, you know, the magic we truly are, the visions I've had for over a decade, the magnificence of what we're going towards, and it's still an evolvement. But no matter what everybody says or anything says, you live in your body every day, and you have to make your decisions every day. So you have to come back to that place of God, the stillness, so you can be clear and focused in all your decisions you make, whether it's the money industry, whether it's watching your show, Charlie, if people connect with me. Ultimately, you've still got to come back to yourself, your own true central core.
We've got to recognize ourselves as individuals, as sovereign beings. Again, we've got detached from that. And also the vaccine is also there to detach your soul, to detach your DNA from your RNA.
Yes.
And when people start to realize that, then they'll think twice about what they're doing. We need to get back to being, holding ourselves accountable, testing ourselves, checking ourselves. And you can do that by mingling with other people and communicating with other people, listening to other people, the art of listening to other people's perspective of the same thing. And we're at the start of this now. We've been through 15 months of hard work, and now we're going to come into the part which is going to be challenging but a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, that's so exciting. It's I won't even say bittersweet. It's just being there for the people, and it's going to not just be today or next week or next month or in 6 months. This is going to be for the next few years when people are passing over, and then it's literally just giving it. It's like your arms are open just to hug them. It's like, you're here now.
Yeah,
it's just to have that love, and that when you've got that true compassion,
I was with the homeless people yesterday, and that's one thing they all wanted was a hug.
Yeah.
And that
like,
to me, it stays with you. That feeling of love stays with you.
Yes. And I'm going to give a tip. How many people, when they give each other a hug, most people either put arms above, arms down, or side to side so the hearts don't meet. So the next time, I'm going to say to you, whoever you are out there, is the next time you hug somebody, if you don't normally hug heart to heart, try it. Because that's your receivership on that side of the body, the feminine, the receiving, with the other side, the giving, the action. Here, take it, where it's that nurturing. So the next time you hug somebody, do the hug heart to heart and just see how it feels.
Okay. I feel like a hug every time I look at Danushia sitting in that chair. The first time I met her, I think she was in there in that white sheepskin that's behind her.
You weren't intentional.
I bought one of those for my mom when she was sick right at the end. My mom died from a brain tumor, but towards the end she'd sit a lot. So I bought her a sheepskin rug like that. So these little miracles and stuff that happen, and Danushia helped glue my brain back together. As you can see, I get a little bit riled up sometimes, Charlie. I've got our little group. There's a lady in there named Andrea Grace, who helped me a lot with meditation. I meditate with her virtually, not her personally, but virtually every single morning for a whole solstice now, like since one solstice till this solstice. And I'm telling you, that's helped me a lot too. It's calmness and that time alone to get yourself into a space of, direct or divine neural activation, DNA.
Sure.
And that was learned from another angel that I know, Stephanie Sarton out there. Mm-hmm. So it's just keep your mind open, like you say, Charlie. We got 2 ears and one mouth for a fucking reason, like let's listen to each other and let's keep moving on. I got a little joke. I don't know if you got time for that or not. Yep. Danushia said I could share it.
Yep.
Oh, let me see. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so there's this. So, of course, a lot of these families were said they were Jewish, right? But they're really not. They're Prussian, and they were using some of that. But anyway, there's this old Jewish lady. She's down by the beach, and she's watching her little grandson go playing in the sand. Waves are going in and out and in and out and in and out. All of a sudden, floosh. He's gone, whipped into the ocean. She's sitting in her lawn chair. She didn't even get up. She just sat back, looked up. She said, "Hey, oi, you bring him back to me right now." Sits back, reads her book again, looks at her book and waits, in and out, in and out, in and out. 3 more times, floof, drops the kid right by her lap. She looks over at him. She looks up again. He had a hat. Come on, you guys. That's the end of the joke.
I think American humor must be different to English humor.
Yeah, it's not British humor.
I'm
No.
sorry.
You have to explain it now. I'm sure. Sorry, should we pause a minute because people might be laughing because they got it.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's Canadians laughing. Come on, you guys.
I can
Okay.
hear them. I can hear them in the distance.
It's my favorite joke of all time. And there was
Oh
dead
no,
silence.
love, didn't get that at all. Gone.
Okay.
Well, I'll say a massive thank you to Danushia and also, well, to both of you for the time, and we'll continue this because this is very, very important. Thank you, Randall. Randall or Randy?
I used to be pretty Randy, so I've been trying to go with Randall. Like,
Good man. Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening anyway. Well, this evening here, this morning where you are. And thank you very much, Danushia. It's been wonderful to see you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Beautiful seeing your face, Charlie. Thanks, Randy.
Cheers,
God
guys.
bless you.
Bye.
With abundance, sovereignty, health, love, and euphoria for all. I love you guys.
Cheers.
God in your heart.
Absolutely. Bye.